What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel where I discuss CPA exam, the accounting lifestyle, and everything in between. If that sounds awesome to you, hit that subscribe button below and welcome to the family. It's been so long since I last recorded a video that it even feels weird recording right now, but so much has happened since I made my last video. Since my last video, I purchased my first investment property, I went through my toughest busy season yet, currently going through an election year, a global pandemic, and I cut my hair. All in 1 year. I know, wild, right? But on this channel, we're here to make all of you accounting people better, smarter, well-groomed, and just all around amazing young professionals. I have so much motivation to continue to help all of you get to where you want to be. So today, I thought it'd be awesome to actually have people come on the channel, guests, to share their CPA exam story. And today, we're actually gonna have Ryan Bakey, who's a tax consultant at Deloitte and just recently got his CPA license. I had so much fun interviewing Ryan. He's hardworking, super intelligent, and just all around motivated to get things done. And I know for a fact you guys are gonna get a lot of value from the conversation we had today. So make sure to subscribe to the channel for so much more content all around becoming an all around awesome young professional. Enjoy the video. Episode of this new podcast that I'm creating. I have no idea what I'm gonna call it yet, but since I have a ton amount of energy and so much to say and give to the world of accounting and just young professionals in general, it dawned on my heart to make this show and make this episode where someone can take value to help them in their professional career, to help them develop as a young professional. And today, to highlight this first episode, we got Ryan Bakey on the show, just passed the CPA exam, and I wanted to highlight kind of his upbringing, how he got through college, how he got to work for Deloitte at the current moment, and also how he got to the CPA exam. So Ryan, if you want to share your story.
Yeah, so I grew up in public school. I was always really good at math, moving things around like quick math, short math, but I really sucked at calculus and trigonometry. In fact, I even got a D minus in my classes in high school. And so I was really wondering what to do. And I signed up for accounting class my senior year, and I took that, and everything clicked, and it wasn't too complex, and it was simpler math. I tell a story to some people. Oh, what made you pick accounting? The first week, my advisor said, "Here's a list of majors. You have to pick one." And A through Z, accounting was the first one, so I picked that.
Dude, that's so funny.
People laugh about that, but it's not true. I was just good at math.
Nice.
Accounting and math clicked, and so I just decided I wanted to be an accountant, and everything worked out. I knew I was like meant to be when I got my first score back compared to everybody else's.
Nice.
in the class, and everything business-wise clicked with me, and they say accounting is the language of business. And so I took it and ran with it. And it wasn't until like sophomore, junior year of college that I decided like I want to work at a Big Four or I want to work at a top accounting firm. And what does that path look like? And so to anybody who's questioning like, how do I get there one day? Like, just go find somebody on LinkedIn that has that background, like that works at a Big Four. Like, what is their experience? What is their background? And just try to, okay, this is what they did to get there. So maybe I could take an avenue or a route like that to get there. And so I just started working full time. I had a couple years experience at a tax shop while I was an intern in college. But this is my first year of full time work
Nice.
at a Big Four.
Dude, it's funny. It's funny you say that about you picked accounting as accounting. You picked accounting because that was the first one on the list. Dude, I swear to God, when I was I don't know if you I was already an accounting student, but when I was going through the process of choosing between audit and tax, I swear, dude, I am not kidding you. I literally the thing came up and audit came before tax, so I chose audit. I swear, dude. So that's funny that you say that, right? That you kind of chose that as a thing to begin with. I know it's funny, dude. It's funny you bring that up. That I think the biggest thing for you, and just from what I'm hearing so far, is that you put yourself in those situations to do well, right? Because you put yourself in uncomfortable situations for you to excel and kind of continue on that path.
There's a book that's written by a guy named Ken Coleman. It's called The Proximity Principle, and it talks about good things happen. It's not necessarily luck, but good things happen to people who put themselves in a circumstance for good things to happen to them. If you put yourself in that situation, that mindset, that right group of people, that good mentorship, that mentality, good things are bound to happen to you. So luck happens to people who work hard and put themselves in the right spot.
Agreed, dude. 100%. It's fun, Ryan. I swear this is for anyone watching this. First time I meet Ryan, and Ryan, I think this is the first time we actually have like a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Other than like kind of just messaging each other
Back and forth.
on Instagram. But dude, I'm glad you touched on that because I think that's so important, man. Even thinking back to when I was going through college, and so I became an accounting major because someone came up, a professor came up to me and said, "Hey, you did really good on this like accounting test. Like, you should think about doing accounting." Dude, if that conversation never would have happened, I wouldn't be here. Like, I wouldn't be CPA. I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have done a bunch of things that I've been able to do. But because of that, I was able to do it. And it goes back to what you just said. It wasn't necessarily that. I would say it was luck too, right? But at the same time, if I wouldn't have worked hard and put myself in a situation to get 100% on an exam, it would have never happened, right? I would have got a mediocre grade, and she never would have pointed me out, and I wouldn't be here. So, dude, I'm so glad you touched on that because I preach that all the time, man. It's like, it's not so much about like, yeah, sometimes it sucks that we don't have like the right resources and we don't know the right people or what have you. But I think if you put in the work, somehow, some way, those good things and those good people will gravitate towards you because like I'm a firm believer in like the law of attraction and all that. And if you put that into the world, dude, you're gonna get that. If you are constantly, being successful, striving for excellence, you're gonna attract those things to you, regardless, right? Those people that you hang out with that maybe aren't the best for you or what have you. All of a sudden you're going to start attracting people that are doing good, that are doing well, that want to be where you are at. And then somehow, some way, those people end up helping you. It's kind of similar to your situation, dude. I literally have the same story. And
it's important to remember that hard work and discipline and work ethic will get you, I believe, where you want to be in life. You may walk into the classroom and you may not be the most intelligent in the room, but if you just commit yourself to outworking everybody else, and you just work hard, and you just have to remember that you're not really competing against other people. You're competing with yesterday's version of yourself. So don't look at it as like, well, what I got to do to I'll beat this guy or compete against him. You're competing against yesterday's and last week's version of yourself, and you keep self-improving and getting better. I think that's really important in all aspects of life, whether it's career, financial goals, spiritual, relationship, physical goals. Like, you're not competing against other people. You're competing with yourself, yesterday's version of yourself.
Yeah, dude, I completely agree, man. It's funny, dude. We're on the same wavelength, man. I always think about that, dude. It's like I'm always striving to become more, do more, and all that good stuff. So then, cool. So when you were in college, that's how you kind of chose accounting, and then kind of how'd you go through the recruiting process to end up at Deloitte?
Yeah, it's a really long story, but it's literally just an example of being at the right place. I knew like junior year going into senior year, I was a team captain of my varsity sports team in college, and I had good GPA, 3.5 and above, and I paid attention to my accounting classes. I thought I knew the language, and I kept striking out in internships, interviews. I was actually 0 for 4 in public accounting interviews while I was still in school, and because I interviewed at some of the top regional firms, I interviewed at some smaller firms, 0 for 4 in public, until I got the one interview, of course, that I worked part-time in college. But I was 0 for 4, and, I thought, oh, maybe what am I doing right? Like, maybe I walk in there, maybe I got two heads or something when they look at me and they started talking to me. But I think it was just God closing one door and opening another at the same time. And
dude, I want to touch on that, right? Now that you brought that up, like, what's one thing you did during that time, right? You're saying you went 0 for 4. Dude, that's demoralizing. Yeah. That's especially
0 for 4,
as a young student, right? You feel like, dude, what the hell? To your point, like, do I have two heads? Is something wrong with my face? Like, do I not walk the right way? Like, so how'd you get over that? Like, is there anything that you kind of told yourself, or is there any kind of things you learned from that process? You like build mental toughness or anything like that?
It was a little about like just trusting in like a bigger plan, and just believing in that something else is going to happen. But it's also like reflecting on it now, I think, as a college student interviewing in the process and getting your first job, like the places really don't expect you to know much. And like when you're getting your feet wet. And so if you come in there kind of like how I thought I was at first with like, I know all these Excel formulas, like I've done independent contracting for companies with Excel stuff, and kind of come off as like you might seem like you know more than the average person. Like I think they get away from that like this attracts you from them. So I felt like I might have came in as if I knew too much. That's probably the only flaw I might have had in my interview process.
So did you have a kind of work experience before you kind of started interviewing?
Yeah, well, not an accounting experience, but I had experience like preparing or just Excel spreadsheets for like small businesses and stuff.
Got it.
So like VBA coding and just helping people operate more efficiently in their business, whether it's like calculating formulas or like the first thing happened where like a lady had a hair salon. She owned like 3 different hair salons and she wanted to figure out like gross, what's her number without having to pull, call her accountant, or she could just open up a page online and look what her gross was. And I figured out how to do that in Excel for her and stuff.
Nice.
That was when I was 18.
I want to touch on Excel because I'm like a huge, I preach it like all day, dude. I preach Excel like all the time to young students. Dude, so you knew Excel before you started working, right? How much advantage do you think that was for your career?
A milestone, even just a CPA exam, especially when you get into FAR and Reg, it's really Excel based. And, especially if you get like a thing like a bond and mort schedule or some sort of depreciation schedule, like you have to be fluent in Excel, like not only on a CPA exam, but in actual work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It just makes it way more efficient.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Luckily I went to a great school for my undergrad. But one thing I feel like maybe it was my own fault that I didn't take advantage of maybe the courses they had or what have you, but I should have been a lot more proficient in Excel when I started working for sure, dude.
Yeah.
I was so behind. It was not even funny. But then luckily, dude, I just like really honed down and I really took I did more than what was expected of me. So on the weekend sometimes I would literally just spend and there's still
practice formulas. Yeah.
Excel is fun. And I would go on there and just like do it on the weekends. I would and it wasn't like I spent all weekend. Maybe like honestly it was half an hour probably of my weekend where I would literally just sit there and just like learn formulas, learn how to get better at the shortcuts. And dude, now, I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but like I'm like a wizard now, like I don't even it's crazy.
I used to get a sticky note and I'd put it on the screen of my computer with the shortcut, and then I would practice it till I learned how to do it. So then I didn't need the sticky note. Yep. And then like the next month I would make a new sticky note with new shortcuts, and I would master those and then keep going. So like
dude, exactly. Yeah. It's funny. Like, so I didn't use a sticky note, but I kind of applied the same concept whereby I would get I'd get a shortcut, I'd learn how to do it, and then I teach myself another one the next week, and then I wouldn't go on to another one until I learned that one. Dude, it's so important, man. And it's funny that you brought up books because I recently became like a really, really avid reader. And dude,
I got a lot on my shelf.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it's funny, man. I heard Kevin Hart say it one time too. Like they tell us all this stuff when we're kids, right? Like read the books, do the work, and we're like, nah, man, whatever. Like I want to play Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm on level 6. Like I ain't got time for that.
Right.
Dude, until you get older, you're like, wow, learning is fun. Like learning is power,
There's some guy that said like in 5 years goes by, you're the same person except for the people who you meet and the books you read.
Agreed.
I forget who said that. Can somebody give me a stat? Check on that. But I know somebody said that. I forget who said that. But it's true. Like I'm always, after passing the CPA exam, I open up my time to reading more. So I got a couple of books I'm reading right now. See, I started with this one. It's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
I've heard a lot about
this one's really good.
I've heard a lot about that.
It's really old. I mean, it's old. I mean, it's an old book. And then this one I got reading. It's 100 Most Important Bible Verses a leader should know.
Nice, dude. Awesome.
And it's
hey, man, I'll
like,
be honest with you. I'm a man of faith myself. I think it's a huge part of my life. And I never impose it on anyone,
Right.
But that being said, I think, having some sort of faith, whatever you call it, right? I think spiritual health is so important.
Yeah.
Regardless of, what denomination you believe in, right? I think spiritual health is, dude, it's so key. It's definitely got me through a lot of like phases in my life. But dude, it's funny. So the book I'm reading right now, it's called The Compound Effect. And dude, I literally I was reading it yesterday here in our district in LA, and dude, it was just like, it's just funny, like you see all these people going to the bars and doing anything. And don't get me wrong, I love going to a bar every now and then too. But it's like kind of like in the book, and it said one thing, dude, and it's funny. I want to touch on books just a little bit. And I got this from Andy Frisella. I love Andy Frisella, dude. I'm actually doing 75 hard right now. I'm on day 22. And he said, when he reads a book, sometimes people say like, oh, I read this book and I got nothing from it. And I think what he says about reading books is so crucial. If you can take like 1 or 2 or 3 sentences from a whole book that changes your whole outlook on life, dude,
right.
And I think
priceless.
I think I got it on the book I'm just reading. It's it literally said, so this guy he was kind of mentored by his dad, And he said, always be the odd guy out, as far as always be the guy willing to say no. Don't be the guy that always follows the crowd, you know? And dude, that resonated with me so much, man. Cause I mean, I feel like sometimes, especially as young dudes, we get kind of pressured, or not pressured, but like driven to do certain things that aren't really going to benefit us, you know? Like, you know, popping bottles every day at the club, every week, you know, like that stuff. Don't get me wrong, man. Every now and then I'm all for it. But you know, it comes a point in time where that stuff is just detrimental to where you want to be, you know? Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. No, I completely agree. So now that you kind of went through your interview process, you went 0-4. You finally got an internship. So then you interviewed with Deloitte, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I did.
So dude, so I'm just curious too. Deloitte's a Big Four firm. So like, did they target your school, or how'd you kind of end up landing that interview?
It was really just a proximity principle. Like I mentioned, it was one of the last Fridays of the school year. I was commuting to school every day. I drove 30, 40 minutes to get to class every day. Wow. And I only had one class for that Friday. And like, I was so close to just like not going because it was my only class. And our teacher had told us, he's like, hey, we're having a guest speaker. He didn't tell us the name of this guy. He didn't tell who he was. He just said, we're having a guest speaker. And I was so close to skipping, like not going to class because, and so I go to the class that day. This guy, he's giving a presentation and he's talking about his background and this and that. And he had mentioned that he worked at Deloitte when he came out of college.
Yeah.
And at the end, he's just saying, you know, if you guys ever need anything, you know, let me know, like if I can get in touch with you guys. And, you know, I had chatted him up after class. I said, hey, like, can we get coffee or something? Like, I'd like to really, you know, talk to you, like pick your brain a little bit. And then that was, I mean, that was it. And then I told this story to somebody else yesterday, but he had sent my resume to each one of the Big Four firms, each one. And I was actually playing basketball with my friends and like, I was on the speaker and I had LinkedIn has a distinct notification and it was 4 of them. Boop, 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 just like that. And he had sent my resume to each of the Big Four.
Wow. Yeah. Dude. And then, so I want to touch on one thing that you brought up during this whole thing. You almost weren't going to go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Half of life is just showing up. I promise. Like, you gotta be in the right spot.
Yeah, exactly.
I almost did not go.
I think like 90% of life is just showing up, dude.
Just showing up.
Show up. You know, oh my, dude, it's insane. I'm sorry, dude. I get super high energy about this stuff because, dude, stories like this, man. It's just like, dude, I try to tell people, man. It's like, dude, just show up, do the work. Eventually, shit will happen. You know, stuff happens, dude. You put in the work, you put in the time. You know, at the beginning, you might not see anything happen, right? And that could be discouraging. But, dude, I promise you, especially do this book, The Compound Effect. I've only read I read it for 2 days of my 75 hours. So I've only read 20 pages. Dude, so far I'm just like, I couldn't even put it down yesterday, right? I do the Pomodoro technique. So I typically do like 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. So just to be a little bit more productive. But anyways, so I did one Pomodoro and dude, like that was a big thing too. It was just like, dude, just show up. Just show up. That's it. That's all it is.
Put yourself in the right position.
Let's just say, Ryan, let's say you didn't show up that day. Let's say, you know what? I got one class. I ain't gonna. Dude, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, man.
No, we would not.
It's insane, dude. You know, life is just, and it's funny. I've talked about this book again. It's like the compound effect. At the end of the day, in summary, it's just very, very, very insignificant, small good choices plus time equals success. That's it.
Okay.
At the beginning, you might not see a lot of growth, but those little decisions you make every single day of your life. Hey, I'm not going to eat that pizza. Hey, I'm going to study a little harder. Hey, I'm going to shoot out that email. Those little things we end up day by day. It creates a big difference between.
It's kind of like showing up to the weight room, right? You know, like the first day of eating healthy and working out, like you look in the mirror, you don't see a change, or you step on the scale, you don't see a change. The next week, you still don't see a change or a difference in the scale. But I guarantee you, if you do that for 52 weeks in a row, you will see a difference in the mirror.
You will see a difference.
You will see a difference.
Dude, and it's funny, man. I mean, I know we're going through this whole COVID BS that's going on right now in the world, and it's very sad, you know, it's just everything, right? Everything. People that have been affected by it, and I think it's been, you know, I don't want to get, you know, touch it. I want to be cognizant of people's feelings about it, but I think it's been a little bit blown out of proportion, in my opinion. I think it's been too politicized than it should have been. But yeah, man, I think it's caused a lot more harm. I think the social impact of it has been far worse than the actual virus itself, you know?
Sure.
And I just to touch on kind of people's mental health right now, right? I know myself, like I try to be, you know, like tough, and I try to be like, I try to just get through these things, but it's hard, dude. It's hard sometimes, you know, you go, there's days where I'm just like, man, this is just annoying. It's just depressing, you know, but you're right, dude. I feel like sometimes you just gotta keep going, dude. You just gotta keep going.
Yeah. I actually passed, so my CPA exam process was, I had took FAR first. Actually, no joke. Like I watched one of your videos. Like I remember watching your videos before I started taking the CPA exam
Okay,
on
nice.
YouTube. I like all of them, and I ended up taking FAR first. I was studying in undergrad. I took FAR. So I took FAR January 17th. I remember every day the days I took the CPA exam still.
Nice.
And as the day I got back from FAR, I started studying for audit like that same day. Like I didn't even give it a break. I gave it like 3 hours. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the weekend off. And I just started studying for audit because I got bored. But I ended up taking audit 3.5 weeks out after FAR. And I got a 72 on my audit exam first time around. But then COVID happened, right? And so like the centers were down for a little bit.
This was like maybe March, February?
Yeah, March.
Got
yeah,
it.
because I was scheduled to take BEC like April 1st.
Got it.
And then the centers were down. And so I had, you know, I guess an excuse is an excuse only if you make it that way. You know, like if you want to say like, you know, COVID's going to happen, you know, I may not be able to study or I may not be able to take the exam, but like I kept studying, and like I studied through BEC, and then I started studying on reg too, a little bit at both. And then as soon as the centers opened back up, like I took BEC May 1st, I took reg June 4th, and then I took audit July 23rd. So I just boom, 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 and I got them out of the way. 3 for 3 with a mask on. You know, they made us wear a mask in the center, you know.
Wait,
yeah.
You guys had to wear a mask the whole time you were taking
the entire time. Yeah.
Wow, dude,
Yeah.
that's wild. Seriously?
Nah. Yeah, it was. I had glasses too, so like my glasses would fog up. Yeah, I would slide the mask down a little bit so I could breathe out my nostrils. But
that's crazy, dude. Okay,
yeah.
I like, I'll be honest with you, man. CPA exam was a huge thing for my life, and like I'll never forget taking it. Dude, I remember being in that Prometric Center, in that room. You're just sitting there. You're just going to town. And
Yeah.
I remember I was sweating myself just in there. I can't imagine with the mask, dude.
Yeah.
With the mask on, kudos to you, bro. But
Thanks.
I mean, dude, honestly, I think you made the best of it, right? We were in a bad situation as a country, just everything in general. And you said, you know what? We're stuck at home. Instead of pitying myself.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, instead of pitying myself and doing like, you know, I keep saying this to myself, but dude, it's funny. I have this sticky note on my computer. I don't know if you guys can see that. It says, in times of crisis, you either get better or you get bitter. And dude, it's just, I have it on my laptop computer right here at work at my home office, because it's like, I continue to tell myself, dude, like, hey man, am I going to come out of this quarantine saying, hey man, I watched 12, seasons of Game of Thrones and I finished 10 movies? Or am I going to say, hey dude, I started a podcast. I met Ryan. I finished 10 books. I learned a new skill. I learned a new trade. Dude, every day this whole COVID's been going on, I keep telling myself, dude, like, what do I want to come out of this quarantine? Because, I will say this, dude, it's going to pass. It's going to pass. This too shall pass, for sure.
Right.
Whatever we're going through, I mean, it's going to pass. Eventually, it will subside, and we will get some sense of normalcy back, right? Our lives back. And, yeah, dude, it's really up to you to decide, all right, do I want to come out of this stronger, better, healthier, wealthier, and all around better? Or do I want to say, like I said, hey, I finished 12 seasons of Game of Thrones. I put on the dude, there's like a thing going on. They're calling it like the COVID-10, where like you put on 10 pounds. It's like, why, man?
Not me, man. Not me.
Honestly, dude, like, I'll be honest with you, man. Recently, like, I'm really trying to get like on my fit game, dude. Like, I'm really trying to get.
I gotta step mine up too.
Healthy body fat percentage. Like, I'm trying to do a lot of resistance training. I'll be honest with you. So I just bought a property here in LA.
Yeah, you told me. The duplex, right?
Yeah, the duplex. Yeah, back in February. And so I don't really have like and then I've been working out at home. So, dude, like, even with that, man, I have a few dumbbells. I have like enough weight for like some dumbbells. I have like a dip machine, a pull-up bar. And, dude, I just get creative. Yeah. It's like, instead of making an excuse, I'm just going to make the best.
Well, I think to your point, like a lot of people I don't understand is like, it's a spectrum. So like every single day you make the decision, like whether or not you want to get better or you want to get worse, because nothing ever stays the same. There's people out there that are getting better. And even if, I remember it as like my basketball coach used to tell us, like, play the game, show up to practice like you're the 15th man on the bench, like you're the last man on the bench.
Yep.
Because if you're a starter, if you're in the starting five and you're not practicing, you're not playing like a starter, you're going to end up on the bench. But if you're that 15th guy, you want to practice like you're the last man on the bench. And so if you carry that same mentality in life, like you always want to get better at your craft, like no matter what it was. See, for me, a lot of people, because I did have good scores, and a lot of people were like, oh, you overstudied, or like you studied too much. To me, like at the end of the day, I wanted to be a CPA, not somebody who studied for the CPA. So for me, it didn't matter the amount of hours that I put in. It didn't matter, if I studied 300 hours for FAR or whatever, what have you. Like at the end of the day, like I wanted to be a CPA, and that was my goal.
Yep. No, dude, I completely agree with that, man. It's funny. Like I never prescribed to like a certain amount of hours or this is what I got to do.
No.
I personally created my system.
Don't keep track.
I preach my system. But that being said, it's not the end all be all, right? I'm not saying, hey, if you do what I did, you're 100% guaranteed to pass. No. But will I think you'll got a better chance? For sure. That being said, I don't think I can prescribe you. I get this question so much, dude. It's like, how many hours do I do? You do as many hours as you need. Like, it's as simple as that. I can't tell you like, hey, dude, 10 hours is enough, or 20 hours is enough, or do 50. It's like, dude, you do what you feel you need to do in order to retain and understand the material, and you'll be fine. And you'll be just fine. So, dude, I want to go kind of back to, so when you started going through the exam, so you took audit first, right?
FAR first.
Oh, sorry. You took FAR first. Unfortunately, you didn't pass that one. So I'm curious, dude. So what do you think changed from when you took the first one, you didn't pass, and then
I'm sorry. So I took FAR first. I passed FAR.
Got it. Okay.
Then I took audit, got a 72. BEC, I got a 93. Reg, I got an 89. And then I took audit for my last one. I got an 82 the second time. And so like, if I could advise anything, it's not necessarily like, okay, Becker says, recommends 120 hours of studying for audit, or it says 150 for this. It goes on your own time. And a professor in my undergrad used to say the material needs to massage in your brain, because that first time I had studied 120, 140 hours in that month I was studying, because I was studying full time. But the material didn't sit in my brain long enough to where I had a working terminology of what was going on. Whereas like the other exams, I felt like I knew it front and back. I could cut it, dice it, slice it however I wanted to. So it comes time. You just got to, let it massage in your brain, like my professor used to say. And
I'm curious. So when you failed one to when you passed, did you change the method you studied, or did you change how you studied the material, or kind of what was the biggest difference?
Yeah, I think I might have changed up a little bit. I think if anybody follows Tim Tebow, he tweeted something out about how he wants to treat every single day like he's waking up for a national championship game. He wants to treat every single day like So it's like you want to tackle that when you study. Like try not to have too many distractions. Like, because when you get to that exam, exam day, you have to be 4 hours, no distractions.
Yeah, dude.
So
no phone.
Shut the phone off. No Facebook. None of this. Like, so you got to sit down there and be honest with yourself. Like, can I sit down here for 4 hours uninterrupted and focus? And just with the whole like never giving up thing, like. Shout out Inky Johnson. He's a motivational speaker.
Love that dude. Love that guy.
He goes, can you be committed to the process without being emotionally attached to the result? So can you be committed to, like, can you, no matter the outcome, no matter the situation, no matter the transaction in life that happens, the next time around, like good or bad, can you give it that same energy? Can you give it that same effort that you did the first time? Can you be committed to the process without being emotionally attached to the result of what you're doing? So if you fail one, can you get back up and take it again? Like, I have a friend who's just like, her third time trying for FAR, or fourth time trying for FAR. It's like, keep going after it. Like, let's critique a little things here. Like, let's figure out what we did wrong. We got to sharpen up on the Excel skills, maybe the terminology. Like, and if you guys are reading these questions, like, start with the question of what it's asking you. Do not start reading the information top left to bottom. You want to start with the question, because a lot of that stuff is just junk when they give you the problems like that. And so, yeah, I mean.
No, dude, I completely agree, man. I mean, I think sometimes we get, like, to your point, I think the biggest thing that the CPA exam helped me with, other than a financial increase or these letters at the end of my name, it's like the person I became through the process, of learning, of trying to say, okay, this is working for me. This isn't. This is what's going on. This isn't. Because I mean, dude, like I've said this all the time, you can come, you can take my properties, you can take my license, you can take everything. But the one thing you can't take is a person that I built through this process. Because I guarantee you, dude, you can take everything from me today. Give me another year or two, I'll be back to the same place, if even better. Right? Because of, you know, even going through the process of buying my first property. It's like, dude, this was like a thing of 5 years that I was saving for, literally.
Your house hacked it, right?
You know, that I was just like constantly just like budgeting and being disciplined about what I spent money on, what I spent my time with. And like I said, dude, if you took everything from me today, everything, the one thing you can't take is the mindset. Right.
You'd be in the same spot.
No, really. I literally, it's funny.
You'd be better. You'd be better.
I heard this saying one time, dude. It goes like, we can take away all the wealth from the world and give everyone the same amount, and in 5 years, it'd be with the same people again.
Probably.
You know,
because you never change your habits, you never change your lifestyle, your mindset until something prompts change. You know, they say it in AA a lot. Like, a lot of people don't change their actions until they hit rock bottom. Like, sometimes it takes a life-altering experience, good or bad, to change your views, change your mindset, change the way you go about things. Like, luckily for me, like, I didn't have to hit rock bottom to change the way I was viewing life or going about my day-to-day actions. Like, I was, you know, I didn't have to go down to rock bottom. Some people it is, like, whether, like, to your point, like, if it's a financial decision or budgeting, like, you know, I'm sure with COVID happening, you know, I'm sure a lot of people have changed their ways of budgeting and, you know, being courteous of what they spend their money on, and, you know, not having to, you know, go out every weekend or go out every day, and just what they're spending their money on, because, you know,
stuff happens, dude. Stuff happens. And you got to be prepared for it. Yeah, dude, I agree. I think COVID, I think the one thing, like I said, that I've learned from it too, is that it really taught me what's important in life, dude. It's funny, even me too, even as disciplined as I have been with like my finances and stuff like that, there are certain times where like I spent money on things that I probably shouldn't have, you know, I bought too many shoes, bought too much clothes. And it's like, dude, it's funny. Now with COVID, I swear to you, dude, I got this shirt from J. Crew Factory for $9, dude. And I swear to God, I probably wear it like 3-4 days a week.
You know, there's these guys, I don't follow them too much, but they call themselves the minimalists.
Oh, okay, God, yeah, I've heard of them.
And they basically have this argument. Their whole thing is about, like, if you're a materialistic person and you need the new shoes, or you need that new purse, or you need to take out that new car loan, or get this, like, if you're achieving like materialistic things, like, you're never going to be like truly happy with you as a person. You're just going to be looking for the next thing. Like the next, like, what's the next like nice thing I could buy, when really like the self-health and like the wellness comes from, you know, being in love with yourself and not having to get external circumstance. Because you hear a lot of people, like, if they get depressed or they get sad, like, they try to buy out of it. You know, they try to buy things that they think that will make them.
Yeah, dude, I agree. Happy. I think too. I think if because dude, and I'll even bring it back to the CPA exam. I think if you put your whole soul happiness in just like these 3 letters, believe me, you'll be happy for a good day or 2, 3, and then it'll pass. You know, it'll pass, and then it'll just be like any other day, and you'll just be like, damn, dude, all that work. And don't get me wrong, you know, that's what we're here. That's what we're all about.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, you know, there has to be more to that too, right? Than just materialistic things and things of that you think will bring you fulfillment and happiness. But at the end of the day, to your point, if that's all you're striving for is money or other things, I don't think you ever get
you'll never have happiness.
Well, it'll never be enough, dude. It'll never be enough.
You know, because, you know, we all go someday, we all bleed red, and we're all buried 6 feet under the ground. But like, when you do go, like, they don't take a snapshot of your bank account and put it on your tombstone. You know, people remember you by the things you did and how you treated others. Like Maya Angelou, to quote her, like, she said, people will forget the things you did, people will forget the things you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah, dude, I agree. I think even like what we're doing right now, right? Like, I'll be honest with you, man, like this conversation we're having, and then, you know, once I post it and however many people see it, it's like, dude, that gives me fulfillment, you know, because if this you know, video, they could get one line from it, or one thing that we.
If I can get one person to quote what I'm saying, like, that's
exactly, dude. That's it. Because I say, dude, it's funny too. I say this all the time, man. It's like, especially in the social media world we live in now, where I think people get caught up with likes and followers and the amount of people that, you know, share your stuff. And dude, it's like, if we stop thinking about it like that and think, man, if I can impact one person, that's a human being. It's a human like thing, right? And that person is going to, you know, change his whole direction of life. And then his whole generation to come is going to be completely different because of it, right? Because of the decisions I made. Like, dude, my grandkids are going to be benefiting from this property. You know, when I'm long gone and out of here, like, you know, the decisions I made along the lines will impact my kids will live a very different life that I grew up living, right? Because of the decisions that I made. So, dude, I think it's cool, man. Like I said, I think even having this conversation, like, that gives me fulfillment, right? Like, being able to impact and help people and have these conversations and meet people. Because, yeah, dude, don't get me wrong. Like, financial success is awesome, and I will never say that that's a bad thing. I think it's great, and professional success is also cool. But I think there has to be a little more than that, right? And you can call it whatever you want. You can call it, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's this podcast, maybe it's whatever you want to call it, right? So cool, dude. So then, all right. So you went through your first. So correct me again if I'm wrong. The first one you took, you failed that one, or
I passed it. I passed FAR the first time. Jumped right into audit, missed it.
Oh, okay. The second one is the one you failed.
Yeah, so like back then they used to have the blackout period where you couldn't test for a whole 30 days. So I had, instead of like studying for the retake, I just immediately started studying for BEC.
Got it.
And so then I took BEC, then I took reg, and then I came back to audit.
Do you know if that's do you know if that requirement's in all states where they took out the blackout period, or is it just in your state?
No, I heard that at first. I think it was like 45 states. But now I'm pretty sure the entire 50 states have adopted it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could follow up on that, but I'm pretty sure every state has adopted it. One of the biggest problems right now is like, each state board has their own licensure requirements. And because like I know in California, like my friends out in California, like they have to still mail in their applications and whatnot.
Yeah, dude, I swear. Okay, I have to renew my license every so often. And I'm just like, yo, dude, I really have to mail this?
It's so bad. Whereas like here, like I just kind of pay it online, send it out, and then like I get my notice to schedule, a couple of days. And
I think they're updating it pretty soon. But yeah, dude, I think it's so funny how we still have to like actually mail it in. So yeah, it's terrible, dude. So I'm just curious too, dude. So like, you passed the first one, and how did you feel? Like, I bet you were on a high after you passed the first one. You're just like, oh my God, And how'd you feel after you failed the second one, dude?
Well, like when I told my mom the score, she thought I was joking.
Yeah.
I opened up my score and it was like a 72, and I was like, damn. And I had left that one feeling more confident than I did the first one. So I was like, wait a minute, like, am I really cut out for this? Like,
dude, you start getting those thoughts, right?
Right. And it's just, that self-doubt, and like the only way to cure doubt is to act, to practice, to prepare, meditation, planning, whatever that form is. Professional athletes have it a different way. Teachers prepare before every class, they prepare. And it's just that way. However you prepare, that will cure self-doubt in yourself, like preparation. There's a mentor told me before I took my first CPA exam, I forget what he said. He said, if you prepare properly, like luck won't play a factor. I got to find the quote. But, if you again, we go back to the whole setting yourself up for the situation, the occurrence, like if you put yourself in that right situation, like you practice enough, and over time, like I promise you'll pass this exam.
Oh, dude, I completely agree, man. Like some people, luckily for me, I didn't fail any of them. And then, I think a lot of it was luck too, right? It just happened that I took the exam on a certain day, and they asked me certain questions that I was prepared for. That was really it, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, and that goes back to the first thing you said, dude. It's like, but I worked extremely hard to put myself in a situation to be lucky, to be ready. Because like also too, another thing that I get with this exam, it's like, hey, what should I study? It's like, bro, study everything, Like you
gotta study it.
You gotta be ready for anything.
You could look at the blueprints, because they update the blueprints, but you really have to have a working knowledge of just basically about everything. And that's why I do think it's important to start with FAR, because it kind of bleeds into at least audit and BEC a little bit.
Yep. Agreed.
And then not to mention that, so if you because you only have 18 months to pass all four, so you want your timer to start on the hardest one, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But before the others, right? Because if you wait for FAR and reg the last, then you have to pass the last two, like the hardest ones at the last of your period, or the 18-month window. But then also, not only that, but then, like I said, the material bleeds into the rest of the format of the exam. So it just helps. And the way they've been testing audit lately, and I'm not disclosing any information, but there's a lot of FAR principles in audit. As an auditor, you're attesting to management's representations of GAAP financials.
Yep.
And so, whether or not they have to propose an adjusting journal entry or they depreciated an asset for an entire year, even though management held it for sale, things of that nature, you have to know that in auditing. So it just helps to take FAR first.
I agree, dude. I agree. I get this question a lot too, and I hope we can address it here. It's like, I get asked, what should I take first? Or what order should I take it? I'll be honest with you, dude. I think if I can go back now, knowing what I know now, to your point, I would take FAR first, for sure. Yeah. And then honestly, dude, after that, I don't think it matters, in my opinion. Right. There could be other things maybe that correlate, but to be honest with you, I think as long as you take FAR first, and then maybe if I can do it again, I would do FAR and then reg. I just think those two were like the death of me, dude.
I got you.
I'm not, and I hate to say this, I'm not saying that BC and audit are easy by far.
No.
By far. I mean, you failed audit, dude. You know what I mean? So it wasn't easy. But dude, I feel like maybe it's not as much material to consume, so it's a little more easier to digest. That being said, they're not easy. I don't think any of them are easy. No, but if I can do it over again, and I can recommend to people watching this, definitely I would take FAR, reg, and then however you want to do it. Or even, dude, if you have to, FAR, and then just do it how you want to do it after that.
No, I got you. No, I mean, my idea is if you want to take if we assume that you're going to pass within an 18-month window, you want to give yourself the easiest route to not have to retrace your steps as opposed to. So for example, financial ratios, they're in the blueprints of all three of those CPA exams, FAR, audit, and BEC. So if you take those three in order, you don't have to restudy financial ratios or even journal entries. There's some journal entries in audit we talked about, but then you might see something in BEC too. So that's why I just thought that way was the best. And then reg kind of stands alone on its own little pier, island. Yeah. But although there is book to tax differences where you have to know, hey, how is this treated for GAAP purposes? Depreciation, straight line, 15 years, useful life of the asset versus reg or tax law. IRS says, we're going to give you an incentive to buy that asset, buy that equipment, and buy that new property. We're going to give you a tax incentive, let you take accelerated depreciation, and how that reconciles with book. So you kind of have to know that. How does it get treated for the book purposes versus tax?
Yeah.
Small portion of the exam, but you could get a sim on it, and
No, dude, I completely agree, man. And then so that's cool. So then you took FAR, nailed it, took audit. Unfortunately, you failed. You got back on the horse. You passed it the second time, and then you just pretty much passed each one after that, right?
Yeah. Can you be committed to the process without being emotionally attached to the result?
Exactly, dude. Because imagine, let's just say you would have said, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to take a 3-month break. COVID's going. And dude, wait, so you failed the second one while COVID was in full effect, right? Or not yet?
I think I told you I actually had it. Did I tell you that?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't tell me.
No, I thought I did. Yeah, I actually had, I had it. I tested positive for it. There was I think I want to say two and a half weeks of I didn't wake up till 11 because I was so sore, so tired, and
how'd you feel, dude? I mean, I'm just curious. How was the was it a cold? Was it a high, a flu kind of?
I thought it was a sinus infection at first.
Okay.
I had popping ears, runny nose, stuffy nose at the same time. It was weird. And then I was all tired all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden I started losing my sense of taste and smell. I tried everything to get it
I heard
back.
I have 3 friends that tested positive here a while back. And they said that's one thing. 2 of them said that they kind of lost their taste.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tried everything. I tried Listerine, pizza, Jack Daniels. I tried tasting everything.
And nothing.
No taste at all.
Crazy, dude.
But I wasn't good. I studied. I stayed down. I studied. And I wasn't gonna let that be an excuse to what I was trying to achieve in life.
Yep.
What I want to be, and my goals. Because an excuse is an excuse only if you make it that way.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I agree.
That's
cool, man. So wait, COVID hit. You got COVID, and you still said, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna pass or whatever.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Dude,
so then I came back. So a month had gone by, right? Because the test centers were shut down for I think a full 2 months.
Yeah, I remember.
A month and a half at least. And I came, I got retested again. I was negative. I cleared it. I took my test almost a month after I had tested negative for it. It's all good to go.
Good.
And I'm like, let's go, let's focus up. And yeah, you know, and to quote Inky Johnson, he goes, you know, an excuse is an excuse only if you let it be. You know, play the hand you're dealt like it's the one you always wanted.
It's funny you say that, dude. I heard, I think Joe Rogan says, I love Joe Rogan. I think he says this all the time. He says, anything we say before the word but is usually bullshit. Like anything we say before the word but is usually BS. You know, we usually know like, all right, honestly, dude, I'm just full of myself. Like I can get this done, you know. The whole idea of I don't have time. Dude, honestly, I don't believe in that. You know, I feel like we make time for things that are important.
They're important. Yes, absolutely. I mean, if, you know, and for people like, I could imagine like working full-time and studying. I don't know what that feels like. I was only working full-time and studying for like a month on the tail end, like starting in July. But like just some tips, like something that helped me, like if I can wake up at 5, 6 a.m. and crank out 2-3 hours of studying. And then so that way, like when I do get off work at 5 or 6, like, and I maybe don't feel like studying because my brain's drained from the entire day, like it's okay. Like I already studied 3 hours. Or if I want to keep going, then that's fine. I mean, I was like, oh man, I stayed up so much, like, you know, waiting for that last test, you know?
Yeah, and dude, so it's funny. So I passed I passed 2 before I started working. And then when I was a first year associate, at the end of my first year, towards the end of the busy season, it was like May, June, July, August. When I passed my last 2, dude, I was working and studying. It was a grind, bro. It was a grind. It was, to your point, it's funny. So back then, a few years back, I lived back in Ontario. So that's like the suburbs in California. So it's like 40 miles eastbound of LA. So, dude, so I had about an hour and a half drive every morning, like back and forth.
Wow.
Dude, it was wild, man. And I get up, dude. I remember I clockwork, dude. Like, it was like I never missed a day. I get up at 4:30, and luckily I lived with my parents at the time. So my mom would, like, you know, get everything ready for me, whatever. And I would be out the door at 5 a.m., dude. I'd go to, so whatever client I was working on at the time, I'd drive to a Starbucks that was like half a mile away. That was close, right? So I'd usually get there around like 5:50, 6 o'clock. And I'd study till about 8:45, 8:50. So then I'd go to my client, and no one even knew like where the hell I was before that, right? And I never even said anything, dude. And then, yeah, dude, that's how I for sure got my 3 whatever hours of study.
3 hours.
And then to your point, right? Some days, even during non-busy season, it's those days where like, dude, work just drags on, and you got to get stuff done, and you don't end up getting home till 8, 7, 9 o'clock. Dude, and I'll just tell myself, all right, bedtime's at 11. If I can get another hour in, let's do it. Let's go. If I can't, well, you know what? I got it done in the morning, and that's how I do it, dude. And then on my weekends, bro, it was just exam. It was exam.
Something I would like to like stress to, like, if it's your, you know, first experience, you know, first year in public accounting, or even if you're still in college, like, get this down to a T, like, soon, is your routine. Like, you don't have to be excellent. You don't have to be perfect in everything you do, but you want to be excellent in the routine, the daily grind, like, I want to get up, like, I want to work my hardest, you know, doing, to your point, like studying in the morning, like you don't have to be perfect or the best at something, but be excellent in the routine of what you're doing, the process of what you're doing, like try to get that down to a science. And I think,
yeah, dude, I agree. I think there's one thing too, then it reminds me of myself. It's like, I think really great people do really extraordinary, do the normal things
extraordinary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the little things in life, dude. Like, it's getting up early, you know, making time for yourself in the morning to whatever, exercise or do whatever you got to do, right? Or, you know, like I said, making that extra email or making sure you get everything done that day. That little stuff, dude, goes a long way, you know? So, no, dude, that's awesome, man. So then you passed all 4. And then, so like, how do you feel like it affected you? Like, how was Ryan pre-CPA and Ryan after CPA?
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, like, I definitely know way more about accounting, like having passed all 4 than I did before I started. That's a given. Like, and I still, like, I probably have a good 10, 15 friends that are taking the exam right now, and they're always constantly texting me like, hey, I don't understand this. Like, can you put it in your words? Like, maybe if you say it, maybe I can understand it a little bit better. Or like, how did you go about solving these kinds of problems? And I'm still like doing the process and trying to help somebody say like, yeah, you could do it this way, but this is how I understand it, or talk them through it. And yeah, definitely just in the knowledge alone, right? But then I also talk to like the routine, like the commitment to excellence. Not that, you know, everything that you do has to be perfect, but you want to be excellent in how you go about doing it. Right?
Yeah, dude, I agree. I think it's funny, man. I was just on a webinar this week where a partner at the firm kind of spoke on the idea of excellence and always chasing that. And then someone brought up like, I know right now the economic times aren't the best, right, for everyone.
Yes.
And he did say, someone said, hey, like, how do we deal with like these things, especially as students coming out of school right now? Like, there's not that many jobs. A lot of firms are like not hiring as many people, right? I know even my firm included. And he's like, hey, look, one thing, none of us can control the future as far as like, we don't have any direct, impact on it. We can't control it, what happens to us. But at the same time, he said, there's always going to be excellent jobs for excellent people. And dude, that thing really stuck with me, dude. That thing really stuck with me. It's like, how do I put myself in a position to be indispensable, to be a guy where they're like, oh, dude, Bryan, there's no way we can let him, like, there's no way. Like, the only way that we would ever let Bryan go is if like the firm literally went down in flames, So like, I think instead of thinking about like, oh man, like how am I going to get a job? Dude, if you're always excellent, there's always excellent position for excellent people.
Right. And, oh man, there's a quote, C.S. Lewis, the person who wrote Narnia. They said, you can't go back and change the past, but you can start today and change the ending.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly.
You're the author of the story, of your story. And what's good, of your book, and what's good about it is the author, right? So you're the one who's writing the book. It's your job to like you can write your story, and
exactly,
that's important.
So dude, now that you're all done, you're a CPA. I'm so proud of you. So like, what's next for you, dude? As far as like career, like what kind of level are you in now, and then what are you looking to hopefully get you in the next year or so?
Yeah, really, right now I'm just trying to take it all in, like learn as much as I can at work. I'm the low man on the totem pole, but I feel like I have an important responsibility to set an example, and just, my only goal in life is to motivate and inspire other people to do what they want to accomplish. Like my dream job is to be a like a motivational speaker, like and talk to like big corporations and stuff and their employees. And so just trying to figure out ways I can do that now, if that's giving back a little bit of time to talk on a podcast to people, or a ton of people. Like when I posted in the group chat like of the CPA study, I use Becker, by the way. I got actually got this straight up.
Hey, represent, dude, represent. That's what I'm talking about. And, hey, I'm Becker fanboy, bro. I use Becker too.
And, they're great, amazing.
So it's funny, now that I'm bringing down real quick, I'm gonna bring up Becker. So we talked about it like a little bit pre-COVID, like maybe April-ish, March. But we haven't circled back with them yet. But like, I'm hopefully going to start doing like more marketing stuff with them, like from a video perspective and stuff. Because dude, I'll be honest with you too. My dream is to like, obviously I want to be an accounting professor. Like, no, well, not just an accounting professor, but like apart from the other things I do, right? Like, I want to be a partner on platforms on social media, but I also want to teach accounting, right? Because I feel like I can make a big impact on students. Not only that though, like I want to be a Becker professor. Like I want to be the Peter Olinto of our time.
Tim,
you know what I mean? Yeah, dude, exactly.
Yeah, no, and where was I going with that? But I forget what I was about to say.
No, dude, no, it's all good. But no, cool, man. So that's awesome. So hey, dude, look, I'm excited to hear about like what Ryan's gonna be doing in the next year or so.
Yeah.
And then man, I'd be excited to like. Hopefully, dude, like hopefully I can continue to grow this platform, and then we have you on in another year or so, and you kind of let us know like, hey, dude, in this past year, like, after CPA exam, this is how it directly and indirectly impacted my life and where I'm at now.
Sure. Yeah. And just the last thing I could say to anybody listening, like you have to set goals for yourself, set short-term goals, where do I want to be in a year from now, 6 months from now, and then also set long-term goals, right? Because there's a saying that goes, this guy Zig Ziglar, he passed away now, but he says, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. And so you have to be continuously setting yourself goals. I recommend, if you want to look it up, it's called the Wheel of Life. There's 7 different areas in life. Think of it as like a patio table. It's got 7 like legs. You want to set goals at spiritual, financial, career goals, family goals, relationship goals, health goals. And, because your life is that patio table, and like, you can't just focus on one thing at a time, because if you snap that one leg off, that table's going to teeter. Right. And so you want